Thank you for joining me on this holiday Monday. We're going to do a restorative class today, and I'm just hoping everybody has the supplies they need at home. We're probably going to use a bolster if you own one, otherwise you can improvise with some blocks and blankets. But a bolster is probably the best tool if you have that. And we're going to begin in seated position, and we're also going to do a little pranayama before we get going with movement. So just take a moment to arrange yourself so that you feel supported. You're able to sit tall and feel your sitting bones kind of spread out. Pull the flesh out from underneath them if you need to. And try to really balance weight evenly left and right, but also front and back. So finding the centers of your sitting bones. And then take a moment to bring some pressure into the hands to help you align the shoulders with the hips, to help you lift and spread across the chest. And just feel the length of your spine just grow a little bit taller. And moving the hands together in front of your heart without the shoulders coming forward. Close your eyes and look away from your brain. Just begin to connect with your breath, which is such an easy tool that we have always available to begin this art of aligning ourselves with presence. Just observing your breath without making any changes to the breath, just noticing how you are showing up with your breathing, the rhythm, the ratio of inhale to exhale, the journey the breath takes within your body. The smoothness, the length, the steadiness. And as you're ready, bow toward your heart. Release your hands, and on an in-breath, raise your head and let your eyes gently come open. And welcome. All right. So we're going to practice Nadi Chodhana, alternate nostril breathing. However, we're going to focus on inhale through left nostril, exhale through the right. So we're going to be kind of encouraging the moon side of ourselves, or the more restorative, quieter sides of ourselves, to become a little bit more on board for this practice. So we're going to be inhaling through the left nostril and exhaling out the right, instead of going back and forth like we sometimes do. So take your right hand and fold in the first two fingers, the index and middle fingers, and you're going to be working with the thumb and ring fingers back and forth. And we're going to be inhaling through the left, so you can right away block your right nostril and inhale through the left nostril. And then closing the left, exhale the right. Now close the right again, inhale the left. Closing the left and exhale the right. And you can always use your free finger to help you extend the flesh of the nostril more open. Inhale left. Exhale right. And try to keep your right armpit somewhat open. We're not pinning the right elbow against the right side body, just kind of leaving it out to the side a little bit. And just a few more here on your own, still inhaling the left and exhaling the right. Let's take one more last inhale through the left. Exhaling the right. Release your hand down And just sit quietly for a couple moments, just noticing your breathing, maybe noticing the nostrils feel a little bit different. Maybe noticing your breathing has changed a little bit. Maybe noticing a calming or quieting effect. And we're going to set up for our first pose, which is going to be reclining bound angle on the bolster. So if you don't have a bolster, feel free to use other props to kind of substitute some height under the torso. And you'll probably want to raise the height of the head a little bit higher than what you're using to elevate the torso. So you might add an additional blanket where your head will be. And you might tuck some blocks underneath your hips or your knees or your thighs so that you can feel supported in your inner thighs and your hips. And just take a moment to place yourself here so that you're drawing your buttocks away from the end of the bolster. Your chest feels lifted. Your chin is tilted toward the chest. And once you've settled in, just close your eyes and just start to connect with your breath and the sensations that the pose is waking up inside of you. Keeping your gaze pointed. Keeping your attention on the here and now. There we go. All right, so roll off to your side. We're going to be coming into a twist. My computer blinked out there for a minute, so I'm just rejoining. And you're going to start with your right hip at the bolster and just turn yourself to face the bolster, and then just kind of spread the length of yourself down over it. Taking your opposite side cheek to the bolster. If that doesn't feel good, you can take your same side cheek But if you want a complete twist, we're attempting to get the opposite cheek of whatever hip you have against the bolster. And sometimes this is too extreme and you want to kind of increase the height or build it up to you. You could tuck some blocks or angle that bolster setup toward your body so that you're not reaching as far for the floor. Try to take the hands on the floor in a way that relaxes your shoulders so that you can completely surrender. We'll just take a couple more exhales and just kind of gently work those exhales out more deeply. You can use your hands on the floor to help you kind of wring the breath from the body. Just leaning into them a little bit more. And when you come to the end of the next one, just gently help yourself up and turn your bolster or setup, whatever you're using, sideways. And you do want it to be soft. So if you're working with blocks, make sure to use a blanket or something over the block so that you're not going to be putting something hard on your ribs. But we're going to come down with the side ribs now over that bolster or setup. Extend your legs, extend your bottom arm, rest your head on your bottom arm, and then take your top arm to meet your bottom arm. And we're getting a nice crescent moon shape here to the spine, but we're getting it passively. So we're using props and gravity and our shape to move the spine in this one direction. And just kind of sense the intercostals yawning open, especially on the exposed side body. A big stretch of space that you're inviting an opening to. Use your breath, maybe increase the experience of your inhale to encourage that elongation. Yourself so that your elbows hit the pinnacle of your. So you might have to wiggle and adjust yourself a little bit. But you'll roll onto your stomach and the bolster should just kind of give you enough height that you're in. And push the backs of your My computer has crashed on me twice now. I'm going to keep going, and if it happens again, maybe we'll just not continue. But I'm going to keep going here. Hopefully we don't have it happen again. But some of you found your way into Sphinx pose. with that bolster underneath you. And if you're still there, we're going to start to move out of it. And we're going to be coming to the other side of the lateral movement. So you're going to roll to your other side, the one you didn't do. And try to position yourself so that you're really just supporting the side ribs. And you can really extend the bottom arm. Take your top arm to meet your bottom arm. Okay. We're going to stay about 5 more breaths. And now help yourself slowly come up so that you can turn your bolster 90 degrees. And we'll go to the second side of the twist. So hopefully you're still facing that side you were just on for the lateral movement. You've turned your bolster and you're going to start twisting sitting up and just spread the length of the trunk down. Again, attempting to land the opposite side cheek of the hip that's against the bolster. Placing your arms in such a way that your shoulders are relaxed. They're not gripping, they're not close to the ears, they're just settled and heavy. And notice how your spine will twist more deeply, not with force, but with surrender. So make yourself heavier, use your breath, extend your exhalation. And see if you can sense the suppleness of the spine. Good. So we're going to gently leave the twist. So finish up your exhalation and help yourself come up. And we're going to be finishing with child's pose. So you can help yourself into the wide kneed, feet together position, sitting back. Make sure to support yourself if you need some connection between your buttocks and your feet. And you can bring your chest down onto the bolster and use it for support. And sometimes people feel more supported without the bolster, so definitely make that choice for yourself, which is a better position for you. And you might be resting a cheek rather than your forehead. So if that's the case, just make sure to, at some point, switch to the opposite side cheek. And just sensing what the spine is telling you today. Is it stiff? Is it tight? Is it a little bit reluctant? And just notice that. Let your breath, let the position, let the support help that spine along to elongate, to lengthen, to release tension. If you haven't switched your cheek side yet, go ahead and do that. And just a couple more exhalations. And gently begin to help yourself up. We're going to find our way to seated position. Using your blankets to sit on. And you can keep something in front of you, whether it's a block or a bolster is really up to you. We're going to do a little hip opener. sometimes we don't need a lot of height if our hips are tight, so you can kind of pick what you need. And we're going to begin elevating our left foot onto whatever you've chosen. It could be your block. If it's a hard block, you might want to put a blanket over it. It could be a bolster. And sometimes when we work with our hips, our knees need support. So if you're feeling when you elevate the foot that your knee is taking a toll, tuck something under there. Another option is to not elevate the foot, because we're going to be forward bending and you'll get a little bit more action into the hip once you do that. So you might not need to elevate the foot. But just kind of guesstimate where you need to be. You can always adjust once you're in the pose to make it more user-friendly. So make sure you're sitting on some height, your spine is tall, and just start to come forward with the concave lumbar. So try not to round, try not to lead with your chin. And then if you can take your hands out a little bit farther, you'll just finish with a forward bend that you may start to feel the low back round a little bit. We're going to stay here for about a minute. So it's important that you're not just kind of white knuckling. You want to give yourself the support you need. And just kind of imagine you're feeding the pose your breath. You're combing through the tension in the body with the breath. If you have an easy way to connect your forehead with something, always do that, because it will help you kind of come into a deeper place of surrender in the pose. And if not, just make sure your neck is really free and easy as best you can make it. Smooth neck, wrinkle free, quiet in the brain, soft jaw. Like you have a magnifying glass and you're just kind of investigating that left hip up close. You're looking at it, noticing maybe some resistance, some tension, some tightness, and feeding it your breath. You can play with the height under the foot. You can also play with the foot as far as where it relates to your midline. So it's easier if you go wider than midline, and it becomes more compact and challenging as you go across through the midline. So you can play with the height of the foot and placement of the foot, left to right. And just finish out the next exhalation, and when you're ready to breathe in, use that in-breath to help you come up. And as you equalize the left leg, we're just going to take the height away and extend the left leg in front of us and draw the right hip kind of out to the side. So you're coming into Janu Shirshasana. So really extend the left leg firmly. Seal it to the floor. Make sure the kneecap doesn't wobble around. Your quadriceps is firm. Turn yourself so that you're pointing your chest evenly at the left leg. And again, come forward with the concave or flat lumbar first. Try to come directly over the leg, not rounding the shoulders, not leading with your chin or your eyeballs. And then once you've come into that half position, then finish it out. Let yourself round, walk the hands forward, and just bow over the head. And bow over the leg, I mean. And we're not going to stay here super long. I mostly just wanted to tuck this in to kind of straighten out the leg that just had a bent knee. Just spend a few breaths and maybe identify that you're getting a little bit of access to your right lower back. And feed it some breath, some good breath. And now start to walk the hands in to help you come back up. And we'll be folding in the left leg and taking the right foot to that front position and finding the elevation we need. Maybe deciding you're going to play with the foot being farther to the right, which is easier in this case, or farther to the left, which is a bit more challenging. And then again, come forward in the beginning in a way that supports the length of the spine, length of the side body, the openness of the chest, concave lumbar or flat lumbar at this point. You'll meet your edge, your body will tell you when you're there, and at that point, just finish out the forward fold, bow your head. And over time, the body will start to be a bit more open to this position. We wait out some of those reflexes. The contractions might start to loosen. A couple more breaths. When you come out, you're going to try to come up on an in-breath. So just use your hands for support, lifting your head, bring your torso upright again. You can move the height out of the way. We're going to extend the right leg straight ahead and draw the left heel toward the left inner thigh. Prop that left knee if you need it. And this is mostly just to equalize that bent knee that we just had on the right. So go ahead and straighten out the right leg, press it into the floor. Flex your foot, put your toes over your heel. Turn your torso to really directly face right leg and come forward halfway. And meeting your edge, then finish out the forward bend. You might place your hands closer to the foot. You might grab the foot. But try to uncrease the neck, curl the chin in toward the chest. Finish out the exhalation, and when you're ready to breathe in, walk the hands in, stack your spine. Good. Now we're going to come into a seated twist. So we're going to be starting by just kind of attempting to put the right knee in line at the right hip. It might be a little bit wider, but try to put the right knee right in front of the right hip, and then either step your left foot above or below the right knee. And if you went above the right knee, you might need to realign your sitting bone weight to rebalance it. So right hand is going to hold the left shin. We're going to reach up with the left arm. And on an exhalation, turn to the left and place your left hand right behind you, right in the middle of your lower back on the floor. And then maybe taking the left arm across the thigh. I meant right arm. Maybe taking the right arm across the left thigh. Maybe continuing to hold the shin. Your body will let you know what you're ready for today. Try to draw the outer left hip back to the floor. Try to visualize your spine here. Try to sense where the twist is along the spine as it moves from the lower spine up toward brainstem. Every exhale taking us a little bit farther into the twist, deeper. Try to align your shoulders more level with the left side of the mat. And now just finish it out by looking over your left shoulder. And after this exhale, inhale, just kind of let it go and come back to center. And we're going to come into Gomukhasana. So if you have a strap you like to use for Gomukhasana, you want it handy. You can come back to a folded cross-legged position with the left shin in front of the right. You might come into a stacked lower leg position which is getting deeper into the hips. You might even stack your knees, which is becoming more closely looking like the actual Gomukhasana position. You might also be able to tuck your feet next to your hips. So there's lots of places to go here, but most simply you can just be in an easy seated position. We're going to be starting with the right arm coming up. So you can go ahead and extend the arm with the strap in hand and revolve the arm so that you're feeling the internal shoulder rotation. We're moving the outer arm in, inner arm out. And just bending at the elbow, take your fingertips along your spine. Reach up through the elbow. Take the left arm out to the side, thumb down. And try to keep the upper arm high as you swing the arm and catch the strap. Walking the hands close together. Maybe connecting the hands directly, in which case you don't need your strap. But move your attention now into the lower body and just kind of try to draw the hips down, draw the knees down, root the sitting bones down. Really getting a sense that you're well anchored. Move the shoulder blades in toward the chest and just try to create a line of energy from the lower elbow to the top elbow, resisting the hands apart, keeping your head right over your spine, attempting to keep the left and right side body very even. Staying for a few more breaths. Now gently help yourself slide the lower hand down, extend the upper arm down. We're going to switch out our legs for the other side of the twist. So we're going to attempt to put the left knee kind of in front of the line of the left hip. Your left heel will show up somewhere near your right sitting bone. And then your right foot can go on either side of the knee. And again, if you choose to go above the knee, you might need to take a moment to kind of rebalance the weight of the sitting bone so it's more equal. And we'll all just start with the hand, left hand over the right shin. Raise the right arm up. Take an in-breath, and on your exhale, turn to the right and place that right hand directly behind you, centered behind you. And maybe take your left arm to your right thigh to go a little deeper. And just let your twist develop, slowly travel up the spine. Twist can really reveal to us the tension that we carry in the spine. There might be a feeling of limited movement. So just give this pose some time, some breath, some patience. Try to get the shoulders more evenly facing to the right. And when you sense that it's time, you can turn your head and fully look over the back shoulder. We'll stay for a few more exhalations. Completing the next exhale, and when you're ready to breathe in, lengthen out of the twist. Come back around. And again, you can simply just do cross-legged from here, right in front of left shin. You might stack the right shin above the left shin. You might slide the legs so that the knees are now stacked. You might draw the feet in toward your hips. So setting up Gomukhasana. And this time, left arm will take the high position. Try to put your elbow in line with your shoulder, and then bending the elbow, take your hands to your fingertips to your spine. Extend that right arm out, level with the floor. Keeping the upper arm level, swing the arm, catch the strap nice and high, and move the hands closer together. And go back to the foundation of the pose. Bring your attention down. Anchor into your hips, your sitting bones. Feel the outer hips opening. Try to keep your head right above your spine and create that resistance between your hands, extending between the elbows. Relaxing your face, your jaw, keeping the sides of the trunk really nicely long and even with each other. Just a couple more breaths. And start to release the lower hand and release the top arm. And we're going to be extending our legs in front of us for Paschimottanasana. And if you have a chance of getting your head to come down on something, go ahead and place some props over your shins. Otherwise, you'll just have your neck nice and open and your head not supported, but hopefully you can get the brain a little quieter just by keeping the neck long, the head passive. But set up your legs, toes above the heels, press your legs into the floor, be over the tops of the sitting bones, and then raise the arms. And come forward with that flat or concave lumbar spine. And try not to let your arms show up in your side mirrors. So keep your pose really honest. And then when you get to that edge where you can't go any farther, let the lower back round. Maybe use your arms as additional height for your head. Keep the legs really active throughout the pose. And respond as you begin to lengthen, as you begin to surrender. You might need lower height for your head. You might need to adjust. So keep the pose really right at the edge, which is a moving target. So it's one of the ways that we stay very present in our practice is this physical body is really the medium to help us cultivate a sustained sense of presence. We'll stay for a few more moments. And now slowly begin to take your eyes forward and help yourself come up with a nice tall spine. Good. And then just shake your legs out a little bit. So we're going to come into downward facing dog. And feel free to do it on the forearms. If your wrists are an issue, you might do what's called a dolphin pose on your forearms instead of on your hands. And you can use head support to make the pose a bit quieter. But just begin on your hands and knees and take a moment to arrange yourself so that you're going to have a spacious dog. So slide the hands forward so they're not directly below the shoulders or slightly farther ahead. And make sure your knees are opened up hip distance. And then curl the toes under and exhale, extend the legs. And if you are placing the head, try to do so in a way that the back of the neck is long. Your chin is closer to your chest. Curling the sitting bones up and then lengthening the heels toward the floor. Be with your breath. Keep finding ways to make space in your body.
And for the next 5 breaths, can you flow a steady stream of breath? Make your breath the most important part of this experience of the pose you're in. And now start to come out of the pose. We're going to come into child's pose, but we're going to be moving it sideways. So if you do need support between your sitting bones and your feet, put something there, a couple blankets or a bolster, because we want to feel anchored here, especially in the sideways version of child's pose. Stretch your arms out, sit back as far as you can, your hips as far back as they can be, and start with your arms centered. And because we're going to open the right side of the body first, we're going to be walking the hands to the left. So you might need to lift your torso up off the floor to help you align your chest over your left thigh. And once you've done that, then bring yourself down low again. Extend the arms so they're straight and your wrists are shoulder distance apart. Place your head between the arms and really anchor into your right hip. Don't let the right hip pull away from the heel. Keep the right hip and buttock toward the right heel. And use this as an opportunity to open the right side of your body. So if you find that it's not quite enough, walk your hands farther to the left. Maybe feeling that right armpit starting to open, the right triceps even. And now just find your way back to center. Not all at once in baby steps, just kind of come back to center. And then continue on to the right. And again, you might need to lift yourself up to align your torso over the right thigh. Anchor back into your left hip, left heel, and buttock coming closer together. And when you need more, just keep moving those hands to the right. Using a nice healthy inhalation to encourage the opening to continue on the left side of your body. And now begin to come back to center. And you're going to help yourself. First, I want you to put down a blanket. So put a blanket down in the center of the mat. We're going to be coming down to our front sides. And want to give us a little bit of padding for the pelvis. So back to Sphinx this time without the support of the bolster, elbows in line with shoulders. And legs are separated slightly larger space than your hip width. And then try to align all 10 toes evenly on the floor. Think about lifting your inner thighs up a little bit toward the ceiling. Tip your pelvis back so you feel the lower back lengthen. You feel your hip flexors kind of closing in on the floor. You feel your tailbone moving toward the floor and the pelvis getting a little more pressure on the floor. And see if you can kind of bring the elbows toward the hips to help you move the shoulder blades in, help you externally rotate the shoulders. And to keep your chest, your breastbone lifted. And try to find a really neutral position for your neck. Sometimes the eyes, whatever they're looking at, can kind of misalign us. So if it's helpful, close your eyes and sense your way into that alignment. Try to press your small toes into the floor, lift your inner thighs up. A lot of effort required just to keep a feeling of neutral. To keep a feeling of ease in your lower back, to keep an evenness across the toes. Using effort to maintain equanimity in the body. Just to stay for a few more breaths. Try to really encourage inhales. And with the next inhale, just come to the very top of that breath and you're going to exhale. We're going to be resting our forehead on our right forearm. Bending the left knee and taking hold of the left foot. And you can always use a strap if reaching the foot isn't happening. But everybody kind of peek at their left knee and make sure that it's in line with your left hip, that it's not sitting wider than the hip. Keep working with the action of back bend, tailbone toward the floor, long lower back. And think about the front left thigh elongating. Feed this your breath. So if we have tight quadriceps, we can find imbalance showing up in the back. Same with tight hamstrings. So we want to make sure to always keep the fronts and the backs of the legs really evenly elongated. Just a couple more breaths here. Now go ahead and release the hold of the foot or the ankle, extend the leg. Make sure you realign the leg on the floor if it came back down a little bit imbalanced. Put your toes evenly on the floor, center the thigh. We're going to use the left forearm to prop the forehead and bend the right knee and grab hold of the ankle or the foot. And again, try to step the right knee in line with the hip. It's probably trying to be a little wider, so bring it in toward midline so that we know we're stretching evenly. We're not going to be yanking on the knee. And if you can't reach it, make a little loop around your ankle with your strap. As we just kind of pay attention to the right side, don't forget the left. Try to ease your left leg into the floor. Try not to activate it. Try to keep it heavy. The idea isn't to uproot the front right thigh. Try to keep it close to the earth. Extend the kneecap toward your foot side of your mat and also down toward the floor. And now release the hold of the foot or ankle. We're going to come into locust pose. So begin with your hands resting next to your thighs, palms are face up. And you can have your head lifted and take your tailbone into the floor. Take an in-breath, and on your exhalation, lift up your arms, lift up your legs, and try to put your wrists in line with your shoulders, so don't let them sink lower. Lift your inner thighs up, shoot the breastbone forward, extend the fingertips towards your feet. Small toes down, inner thighs up. Breathe. external shoulder rotation. So think about the flesh of the shoulders rotating from front to back, winding from front to back. Take another in-breath on your exhale. Let everything come down and cross your arms. Make a little pillow out of your arms. Rest your cheek. Bend your knees and sweep the legs back and forth. We're going to do it one more time. So once you release the lower back, go ahead and extend your legs again. Your palms are going to face up. Your hands are resting, your feet are resting, your head can be lifted here. Take the tailbone into the floor. Take an in-breath, and on your exhalation, lift your arms, lift your legs. Shoot your breastbone forward. Extend your fingernails toward your feet. Look forward. Breathe. Lift the inner thighs up. Relax your eyeballs. Relax your jaw. Take 2 more breaths in here. 1 more breath in. And on the exhale that follows, bring it down, cross your arms, rest your other cheek this time. Bend your knees. And again, sweep your legs back and forth. Good. All right, so we're going to come on to our backs. We're going to do a couple hand to big toe poses with your strap, but also with a supportive prop. The supportive prop could be a block or a bolster. So if you have a bolster, that's probably better just because it's softer and more comfortable. But if you don't have a bolster, then a block is great. So we're going to start on our backs. Head support if you needed a little bit of height under your head with the blanket. And then the strap for the foot. And we're going to be taking the right leg out to the right first. And so you'll place your prop, whether it's a block or bolster, you're going to place it out to the side. And you can really have it anywhere from your hip to your foot. So I'm going to let you kind of dictate where it goes once you're in there, where it feels best, most supportive, most conducive to the best version of Padangusthasana. So we'll take the strap to the arch of the foot and just bring it kind of closer to the heel than the ball mound. So we're going to kind of reinforce the connection of the ball and socket joint. And then you'll wrap your right hand around the strap once, both ends of the strap. Extend your left leg. Extend your left arm out to the side just as some counterweight. And on an exhalation, move the leg to the side. And you're going to decide where that supportive prop goes. It could be really close to your hip. It might be closer to the ankle. But the idea is to keep your right leg straight and as close to the shoulder line as you can. Try to equalize the pose by revolving the abdomen toward the left to sink that left hip back down to reinforce the weight of the left shoulder. Extend out through the inner arch of the right foot so you keep an aliveness to the inner leg that starts at the upper inner thigh. Keep your neck really long, your chin and chest close together. And be careful of that bunching that might occur in your right hip. Think about the flesh of the outer right hip rolling down. Just stay for a couple more breaths. And now, because I don't want to have us do a million transitions, we're going to take a twisting Padangusthasana on the left, but keep your bolster to the right, or whatever you're using, block or bolster. So you can bring right leg back to center. We're going to take hold of left foot, again, closer to the heel today. And your right hand will do the holding, so you can wrap the hand again once. We're going to keep the right knee bent as we help ourselves come onto the right hip. Attempt to bring the left hip above the right hip and attempt to land your left leg on that prop, that supportive prop. Again, it can be anywhere, so place it where it's most beneficial to you. Extend your bottom leg out so it's straight and you're on the outer edge of the right foot. If your shoulder doesn't mind, you're going to unfold the left arm straight out to the side. And if the shoulder does mind, drape your left hand over your side body to keep the shoulder a bit quieter. You can either look up at the ceiling or roll your head left. But keep an awareness in both legs staying straight. And again, we're trying to keep left leg toward the shoulder line, even though it likes to sneak away. We're trying to keep an aliveness to the inseam of the left leg by reaching out through the inner arch of the left foot. Revolve the torso, the flesh of the abdomen, from right to left. Think about bringing your left side ribs back toward the floor. Keep your chin hugging your chest. And breathing well. Feed the pose your breath. Beautiful. Just a few more breaths here. This is a big pose, so it's good to stay in it for a while because it does tend to evolve. To leave the pose, just soften the knees. You might bend the bottom leg, then bend the top leg. Help your strap off of your left foot. Let your feet come onto the floor and just kind of even yourself out on your back. And we're going to be transitioning both poses, taking the bolster supported prop to the left side now. And so once you've moved it, you can begin to take hold of the left foot close to the heel, grabbing hold of both ends of the strap with your left hand. And once you have that, you can straighten your right leg. On an exhalation, guiding the left leg out to the side, landing on the prop, placing the prop where it goes today that's most supportive for you. Keeping left leg straight and as close to your shoulder line as you can. Unfolding right arm sideways. And then the nuances of the pose. We get the gross kind of larger actions and movements and shapes, and then we go into the more nuanced aspects. So begin to bring the flesh of the torso from left to right. The outer right ribs down. Be interested in what your right leg is doing. Watch for the bunching that might occur with the flesh of the outer left hip. Try to roll it away from the shoulder line. And keep a sense of aliveness, awakeness in the inseam of the left leg by really extending out more energetically through the inner arch of the left foot. Next 5 breaths, just keep the breath as the most important part of what you're doing. Smoothness, steadiness, Begin to bend your left knee, guide your leg back, and step that left foot onto the floor as we take the right foot into the strap. The left hand will still do the holding, and you can keep that left foot on the ground as you lift your hips and just kind of tuck the left hip more to the center of the mat, the right hip above it, and bring that right foot or leg anywhere onto your supported prop. And at that point, you can straighten out your bottom leg. Legs should be in somewhat of a right angle relationship. And then make this pose more dynamic by starting to work the outer right ribs back toward the floor. Unfold the right arm if the shoulder allows. Either look up or look to the right. And just sense your awareness is kind of a global experience throughout the body. It's not just lingering in one place. Every cell has an eyeball. It's a BKS Iyengar quote. Every cell has an eyeball. Smooth, steady breath. And start to leave the pose just by softening the legs, bending the knees. Help yourself back onto your lower back and step both feet down. Move your strap aside. We're going to finish with Viparita Karani, but with block support and without the wall. So this is legs up the wall pose. There's so many ways to do this pose without a wall. So it's funny that it's called legs up the wall pose. But the actual translation is reverse process. So legs up the wall isn't actually the translation anyway. So you're going to slide your block either the lowest horizontal plane, or you could go up to medium, but put it underneath your lower back. And I'm moving my head blanket out of the way because I really want my head on the same height as my shoulders. And then I'm going to try to take some time before I lift my legs just to get the outer upper arms to roll down so that my inner shoulder blades start to lift my chest. And just like we were talking about the toes in your Sphinx pose, being even on the floor, with your palms face up, passively you notice the index and thumbs curl up off the floor. So one way you can encourage the action of the arms to really be maintained is bringing your thumbs and index down to the floor, lifting your pinkies up, which inspires the inner upper arms to lift and the outer upper arms to ground. So once you have that, you should be somewhat stable enough to lift your thighs and extend your legs. And because gravity works on us, the legs have to kind of resist against gravity. We have to reach through the ball mounds, move the flesh of the legs toward the feet. Don't let it all descend toward the floor. Move the flesh of the buttocks up. Keep your chin and chest really finding each other. Maybe the eyes closed. Try to find a quietness in your face. Softness in your jaw. letting your sense organs start to withdraw from the outer world. Your eyes, your nose, your mouth. And start to bend the knees. Step your feet down one at a time. And then lifting your hips high enough that you can slide your block away. And now you're going to find any other movements that you need quietly and gently before you come into final resting pose. And also gather whatever you need to be supported in that pose so that you're comfortable, you're warm, you're in alignment. Your eyes can close without a lot of effort. And take some time positioning yourself, looking for a sense of spaciousness and symmetry, support. With the eyes softly closed, looking away from the brain toward your cheeks. Letting go of the work of this practice from the physical body. Welcoming the breath just as it is, not needing to condition it in any way. Attaching your attention to each passing breath. This practice of yoga is largely about letting go of things that don't serve us. And in this Shavasana, final resting pose, we get to sit with whatever is remaining after we've sloughed away the excesses from the body, from the mind, from the heart. Sitting with whatever is left. Our greatest tool for changing the world is our capacity to change our mind about the world. This is a passage from A Course in Miracles. Just Just noticing with this one practice how the mind has been changed. If deeper breaths want to come through, just allowing those deeper breaths like waves to pass through you. If you notice your mind slipping into time travel mode, fast forward, rewind, maybe notice or even name the category of thought. And come back to the breath. Taking these last minutes here to be as fully present, as fully conscious as you can. And start to move your fingers and toes very gently. Maybe start to rock your head from side to side. Maybe making fists with your hands, extending your fingers and bending them. Bending your knees and sliding the soles of your feet onto the floor. Bending your elbows and taking your hands onto your torso somewhere. And then quietly adjusting yourself to either side of your body. And when you get there, just resting on your side for a few moments. Not in any rush. Maybe the eyes open here, maybe they don't. If they open, it's not because of the desire to see anything, it's just because they blinked open. And see if you can transition from sidelining to seated, really minimizing your effort, really trying not to jar the nervous system or use extra effort. So just very consciously transitioning. When you find yourself seated, sit in a way that supports the spine, which supports a bright quality in the brain, energized quality. Moving the hands together in front of your heart. Soften your face. Lift the corners of the mouth. Just take a moment to
note the effects of your practice on your body, on your mind, on your heart. And then take a moment to invite a sense of gratitude. Take a deep breath in through the nose and let it go. From the place within me that I know to be divine, I honor that place within each of you. Namaste. All right, everyone. Thanks for sticking with the technical stuff. Not sure what happened there, but thanks for being here. And this week we have Wednesday class level 2 at 8, and then Friday forward bends 8 a.m. level 1. So join me. I might do a pop-up chair yoga class if anybody's interested, but just watch your email. That's how you'll know. All right. Thanks, everyone.